The NFL is famous for producing world-class players out of football. Some of the best players that are currently a part of the league used to play college football. You score a career if you're good at what you do and have been seen. But is it the same for college football coaches? Well, kinda yeah, but there are also some brutal fails. In this video, let's talk about the worst failures and best success stories. Starting off with Wanna Make It Big. It's a story as old as time. Well, at least it's as old as the NFL of modern times. But a college football coach suddenly reaches the highs of success during his era in college, and then he turns it into an opportunity to jump to the pros because he's also been seen. That's when he knows he's gotta make it. He has the opportunity now. Everything is in his hands, right? But you're gonna be surprised to know that what worked in college level football doesn't work in the pros. Those coaches don't realize that, and the methods that they used to work with previously to get that opportunity and all those wins work against them, and they fall short, often spectacularly. When that happens, they fall short of the intended glory and all their wishes. So that's why it's not uncommon for college level football coaches to fall flat when it comes to dealing with the pros. And time and again, the NFL owners and presidents have even jeopardized the career of successful college coaches who ultimately failed to make it into the big league. It sounds pretty bad, but it happens all the time. These coaches, of course, want to make it big. They just don't want to stay the coach of a football team in an American university. They want to coach the pros. They have those dreams, alright, so they apply. What's the worst that could happen, they think? They don't know that their career could get completely ruined if they don't get selected. Speaking of the big mistake, come on, what college football team's gonna want a coach that was rejected by the NFL? They also have standards, and the fact that they produce some of the best young blood out there, they tend to be picky. Sure, it's not as bad as we're making it out to be, and there certainly are some exceptions who do make it to the pros and even get successful, but it almost always follows the same pattern that we told you about, and it's pretty sucky that it's gonna remain the same because the NFL continues to attract emerging talent from the colleges, and they do tend to fail at impressing the NFL big brothers. It's happening this season as well. Now, are they gonna make the decisions that will result in successful terms in the football office? Only time will tell. But despite everything that happens, there's more than enough data for us to go look at when it comes to successful and failed college coaches who try to jump from college to the NFL. Next up, the 3 successful coaches. As we told you, there are coaches who do make it big in the NFL thanks to their unique coaching style that works with the team they handle. Off the top of our heads, we have 3 examples. These 3 coaches from the Super Bowl era stand high above everyone else when it comes to coming from football college and making it to the pros. Pete Carroll, Tom Coughlin, and Jimmy Johnson. You probably thought the same, didn't you? Anyone who knows the NFL knows the name of these 3-star coaches who have made it big, especially if you think about their modest beginnings. And sure, Coughlin might come off as a surprise entry in the list, considering he's most known for his success as the first Jaguars coach in the history of the franchise and for guiding the Giants to 2 Super Bowl wins. Because look, we know he's a huge deal, but he's on the list because he coached for 3 seasons from 91 to 93 for Boston College. Here we go again with humble beginnings. Right now, Carroll is still behind Coughlin's record, but it's not outrageous to think that he could overtake him at the end of his NFL career. And let's not forget that he's also one of the only 4 coaches to have made that college to pro leap and won a Super Bowl. It's a huge deal already when you get selected for the NFL, but it's a whole different game when you win your team a Super Bowl. More on this, the third musketeer, and some other coaches. Coming right up with Coughlin and Carroll is Johnson, who has 80 wins and actually ties with Coughlin for winning the most Super Bowls in the list of college gone pro coaches list. He overcame a very bad start. If you've been following his career, his start was actually 8-24 in his first 2 seasons in Dallas. To overcome a setback that huge and then winning 36-12 in 1991 to 1993 is amazing. And then he also went on to win the 2 Super Bowls in 93 and 94 back-to-back. It was a huge shock for Dallas when his personal issues with Cowboys owner Jerry Jones led him to leave Dallas after the 1993 season. These 3 aren't the only coaches who have done well after they were done with college football, but we gotta take notice of Chuck Fairbanks, who coached the Patriots in his NFL career from 73 to 78, along with John McKay of the Buccaneers and Jim Harbaugh of the 49ers, who stayed with the league from 2011 to 2014. Let's also not forget Barry Switzer of the Cowboys, because with him as their coach, this team reached a new level of success in the 90s. All these coaches have at least 4 years in the league and had at least 40 wins. It's important to mention that Switzer even won a Super Bowl in his sophomore season, even though many people think that the Cowboys won the bowl despite him and not because of his coaching. Moving on, the worst one yet. While we do have some amazing talent in the college coaching games, there are definitely some some of the worst college football coaches out there. So on the other end of the spectrum, let's talk about the worst of the worst who jumped into the NFL and definitely shouldn't have. We thought their screening game was strong, but looking at these figures, apparently it's not. There is one coach who wins against everyone else in the being the worst category, and that is, drumrolls please, Urban Myers. If you didn't know we were going to be naming him, we doubt your NFL knowledge a little, because this dude's had a fair share of some of the worst controversies and losses out there. He was a coach that won the Florida and Ohio State national championship, so you gotta think he had a big thing coming for him. But no, he lasted less than a season in Jacksonville in 2021 and lost the games with a record of 2-11. Not just that, but he also taunted players and created a pretty dysfunctional environment in the dressing room, and nobody's gonna put up with something like that for a long time. More on this, the ones who came behind. There's another small disastrous coach that we want to talk about here, and that's Bobby Petrino. He started off great too, just like Myers, but fell down pretty hard. His successful tenure at Louisville gave him a shot with the Falcons, and he even won more games than Myers. But then he made a pretty bad call and left the team before the end of the season because he wanted to and became an Arkansas coach. And that's when his downfall began. Matt Rule also became the latest college coaching failure when the Panthers fired him after 5 games into the 2022 season with a career low of 11-27. But see, he's not one of the worst coaches jumping from college to the NFL, because right here, Nick Saban, the Alabama coach, deserves a special mention. He went 15-17 in 2 seasons with the Dolphins, while somehow he split 4 games with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Last of all, the big why. So we now know who's the best and who's the worst college football coach. But do we know why college coaches fail in the NFL? Well, there are immeasurable reasons college coaches fail in the NFL, but most importantly, the number one reason is that coaches try to treat NFL players like college kids. And we're not just saying this as an assumption, but because that was the biggest mistake coaches like Saban and Myers made. They tried to motivate those paid pros as if their future depended on their success. Another big issue that we've seen is there are problems with the lack of control. Except for Belichick and Andy Reid, no other coach in the NFL has such control over their franchises. And the college coaches want to have that same control over their teams, because their ego can't handle the fact that they don't have full control over their program at the moment. Well, that's it from our side for today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or thoughts about college football coaches who had the worst failures and the best success stories, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.